Hello and welcome once again to another episode of Open Talk. In today's episode, our guests are Dr. Wael El-Dessouky. He's the Director of Entrepreneurship Center of the Arab Academy for Science, Technology, Maritime Transport, Alexandria from Egypt. And Dr. Rajni Gupti, she's the Vice Chancellor of Symbiosis International University from India. We will talk to them about unleashing entrepreneurship and innovation in universities. Welcome to our program, Dr. Wael and Dr. Rajni. To start with, can you tell me how important is innovation in education?
Actually, education, innovation, education now, there must be an innovation component in it because worldwide, most of the growing economies and booming economies are driven by innovation, not necessarily invention, not necessarily innovating new hardware or software or technology, but innovation in the way people think, in the way youth change their minds, in the way they think of their future and vision and careers and maybe doing their business. So there should be untraditional way of thinking. So one major thing for the universities now is to work on the mindset of their students, not only to give them the skills to work, not only to give them the knowledge, or practical knowledge or technical knowledge, but also to let them think in a different way. So this is definitely is the trend.
And what about, in your opinion, Dr. Rajni?
See, I believe that unless education has a component of innovation, it really will not serve the student for a lifetime. The ability to think independently, the ability to be able to solve problems, the ability to think creatively, this is really what education should be teaching young people. And I think innovation is nothing but helping them do so.
And so how do you find it different over the past decade? How do you find education that how has it evolved in the past decade?
If I were to talk about what happens in India, is that earlier the education system was largely by rote. People learned things by heart, and the system of evaluation was also such that they were required to just reproduce what they had studied. The ability to think was not questioned at all. I think in the last decade or so, there has been attention now on making people think, making people solve problems, and making people understand that by rote they are not going to be able to solve the problem that they will encounter in real life. And I think education systems are learning to, especially at the higher education level, also in some schools, there is this understanding that the system needs to change, and parents, teachers are all aware that this change must happen.
It should, yeah. So in your opinion, how do you find that? How do you find the education in the past decade?
Actually, education in the past decade was a bit traditional, information, grading system, exams, this kind of traditional assessment and evaluation, and spoon feeding, I would say, for the information. But now, I was just in the visiting some university-based incubators or entrepreneurship centers in the United States, over 20 incubators.
Okay.
Most of them are innovation-driven. Carnegie Mellon University in the United States, their innovation lab, they have startups worth $1 billion from the university, from their students, undergraduate students, postgraduate students, $1 billion patents or innovations. They foster this kind of mindset, they encourage it, they encourage their students, their staff as well, not only the undergraduate students. In Egypt now, the move towards innovation and entrepreneurship is moving dramatically. All the government organizations, even the Ministry of Education now is working on a new regulator to support and encourage students to have their startups, and even the university to be able to have businesses and companies and partnership with the innovative staff or innovative students. So the mindset is there. This was not allowed 1 year ago. I would not say 20 or 30 years ago. But now the pace is, the change of pace is moving very quickly.
So,
I think to add to
Yeah,
what he
sure.
says, it's important that this whole ecosystem needs to be developed simultaneously. So when startups want to make their mark, they need support from the industry, they need support from the government. So I think if all these players work together in tandem, I think the startup movement can really go a long way.
So basically, if you started in the education system, you'll make it easier, whether it's in the basic education or the higher education, make it easier for the new generation to have that mentality. Or
Correct.
so,
Yes.
talking about you mentioned about being the entrepreneurship. We have seen a lot of entrepreneurs at the Middle East or the MENA region growing, or even in I'm sure in in the whole world. How important is that to see the younger generation seeking their own career when it comes to that? being
They don't have a
entrepreneurs?
choice.
They don't have a choice.
Yes,
Okay.
because I mean, job creation is the key word. But looking for jobs, looking for job opportunities, building careers is getting more and difficult. It's getting really more very difficult worldwide, not only in the MENA region, not only in because traditional all companies are cutting the new trend, cost cutting, overheads is very high. Industry 4.0, so everything is automated. Detroit. Detroit is the country of car manufacturing. General Motors and Ford, 2 million person used to live there. Now 500,000 person. 1.5 million left Detroit after the automation industrial revolution. So I mean, all companies, everything is automated, artificial intelligence. So the next step is to find your job, to create your job. Otherwise, people will not find it. So I mean, it's not an optional. Yet it's not very difficult. Youth, it has to do with the mindset. Most of, especially youth students in the university, they think that after they graduate, they have to gain experience and to work for a company for like 20 or 30 or 40 years, gain experience, and after, when they have this huge experience, they shift and they start their own business. Probably this will not happen because at the age of 40 or 50, they have commitments financially or non-financially, and they will not be able to take the risk to start from the beginning. But when they are students or youth or 20s, they can take the risk.
It's easier
yes,
to
it's
take the risk when
definitely
you're
much
younger.
more easier.
Yes. So, in your opinion, universities, how can you reach students in universities to be entrepreneurs or be innovative?
I think it must begin right from the beginning, in the sense that it must permeate the way we teach. So there must be a change in the pedagogy,
Okay.
or as we call it, andragogy, because we are talking about adult learning. So when we talk about teaching them how to think, how to solve problems, you know, the way you would conduct a class in business would not be just teaching them the principles of finance or marketing. You would actually give them a project, make them go out, do a project, do it in a group, because team working is also important. If you have, let's say, startup competitions like we have in our university or in India, a large number of startup competitions are held where young people make their business plans, go and pitch in front of a team of people as though they are actually getting into the world of business. So making them do things like this exposes them, one, to the idea that they can get into business. And as I was saying earlier in the conference today, it is important for them now that you know, the security, job security that was so very important in earlier years is a little less now, because parents also understand that the new age jobs are different. I mean, when we worked, we believed that you joined an organization and you were with them for a very long time. Young people today are far more flexible, far more adaptable, want to rise very quickly. So for them to take risks, as he rightly pointed out, to take a risk is easier. Their parents do give them that support even right from the time they graduate. And I think this gives them the ability to actually go ahead and take that step towards entrepreneurship. Earlier students would, most students would get into business if they had a family business. That's not true any longer. Even if they have taken an education loan to study, They would work for a few years maybe, or even not that. They would have the confidence to be able to go out and start with a venture. And very often these in India are in the service sector, not so much in the manufacturing, but largely in the service sector, where in information technology are the areas where a large number of startups are coming up.
Well, it is. When you talk about technology, it's a very big part of what we do nowadays, and especially the new generation is very into technology, and this even a 4-year-old is into technology. How do you find you said there are a lot of entrepreneurs that seek that. How important, or how does it affect our economy to have a lot of entrepreneurs in the field of technology?
Actually, the field of technology is, I would say, has the highest opportunities for growth and scalability, because traditional business now is very difficult to approach and to start a traditional business, the mainstream business, to invest in a manufacturing capacity, to buy land, equipments, and this is a huge investment, and the risk is very high, because I might start the business and it doesn't work out, so it ends up with a big failure. But when it comes to technology, the scalability is very high. If it works out, it is very scalable. It can go global someday, make a lot of money, job opportunity for many people, especially in the kind of businesses that are based on shared economy. So it is very important. And nowadays the blockchain is booming. Everyone is interested in the blockchain and the artificial intelligence and so I mean, the old traditional business is not working. Very high risk, and a lot of money is required. And even investors, venture capitalists and angel investors and other investment platforms, they might not be interested in traditional business, because very high investment and very low ROI, return on investment. In technology, investment is less and the ROI might be very high. Might be definitely. It's business.
It's always a risk.
Yeah. But certainly the capital required is very low. I mean, Uber does not own a single taxi.
That's true.
Right? So they don't need to own the capital. So it's an aggregator's role, or the role of technology makes it easier for investments to happen, for quick return on investment. And therefore, for an angel investor or for a venture capitalist, it's easier to turn around the investment. So I think it works well for everyone.
And actually, it might also be easier to start.
Yes.
Everyone now is thinking, most of the entrepreneurs are thinking of tech startups, technology-based startups, fintech, e-commerce, website, mobile application. It's very easy to start. They don't require this kind of know-how. It has to do with their passion. It has to do with selecting a smart concept, a smart niche. So,
of course.
Yes.
And you can, from a small, you mentioned Uber, Airbnb, they say.
Yes.
On a single.
So you can take that small risk.
Niche, yes, this idea, concept.
Exactly. So going back to universities, has Bahrain, the Bahrain model, how has it helped you specifically in the university, in the field, in your university?
When I met Dr. Hashim Hussain, who works with the UNIDO, he was a part of a conference when we were in this organized by the Confederation of Indian Industries in New Delhi. And we got talking and we understood the kind of work that he is doing. And he was very keen that he gets involved in the setting up of entrepreneurial ventures within my university, especially targeted to social entrepreneurship for women.
Nice.
So one of our units is in Bangalore, and we are very keen to do work for the women in the neighboring areas. And we got talking and we understood that the kind of work that is being done here in Bahrain, we would love to collaborate and love to be able to take part in projects of that kind.
Well, that's lovely. Basically women empowerment.
That's right. That's right.
So talking about women empowerment, how important is to empower women in the entrepreneurship? Being as entrepreneurs, do you see them successful or not?
Yeah.
Is it for me or for her?
Yeah,
Both of you.
Yeah, I think I'd like to go on that. You know, we have this concept of self-help groups in India, which is a group of women, very often not educated. They come together. It's a microfinance concept where about 10 women can come together and a bank would finance them. And it has been observed that you know, they take a joint liability. So every one of them is required to return the you know, the money that they have borrowed. But if one of them defaults or is unable to pay, the rest of the groups takes the responsibility of paying for that person. Now, I have recently been interacting with people in Bangalore who are in such groups, and it's observed that the kind of commitment that women bring to that kind of entrepreneurial jobs. They set up small ventures. It can be a tailoring job or a catering job, but the kind of commitment that they bring to it and the change it makes for their families is incredible. And the way their social capital itself goes up is also wonderful to see. And I believe when a woman gets involved, it makes a lot of change for her entire family. She is able to educate her children. She is able to spend the money much more wisely. And I think it really, really goes a long way in helping the family improve its condition.
Well, those are lovely words, whatever, all of them. Well, as a woman, I love that initiative. It's a great initiative. Yeah. Would you like to add anything to
yes,
do with women?
I want to refer to something that she said, because the women empowerment is everywhere in all the sectors. But she said especially for non-educated women, lower class women, because they really need empowerment. But highly educated women and well off, they have businesses. So in some cases, the good thing is to focus on women who really need empowerment, so you can measure the impact, so you can see impact someday. So this is yes, I would definitely.
That's a great. It's great. Getting to any kind, whether even when it comes to youth, when a woman, you have to try to get to different sects or different places, different age groups. So talking about age groups and youth, how important are the youth? I know you have a university and you're into the entrepreneurship thing. How important are the youth? How can we reach to the youth and inspiring them and making them more innovative?
Actually, as you said, we're part of a university, so we're exposed to youth, not only in my country, to other countries as well. I can say that most of the youth, when you just inspire them, they change. You might change their lives. We started entrepreneurship. We started to inspire our students and community, and even school students, not only university students. And you cannot imagine. I see many of them now, after 1 or 2 years of engaging with entrepreneurship. Maybe it was the first time for him or her to hear the terminology entrepreneurship. And now they have startups. They are doing business. They are obsessed with business, and this is their life and this is their vision. So change their life completely. So when they are convinced, when they feel that there is a hope, inspiring them and telling them, showing them success stories who are at the same age group, 20s or 30s maximum, successful entrepreneurs who started from scratch, who have successful business, this would definitely change their lives.
Of course.
So yes.
And would you like, Dr. Radhi,
Yeah,
would you like to?
I'd like to share a story about one of my students.
Sure.
A student who came from a fairly poor family, agriculture. He did his graduation in agriculture.
Okay.
And we have a program in agri-business management. And once he completed the program, he wanted to set up something on his own. And he was afraid to talk to his family, to tell them that this is really what he wanted to do. They wanted him to get a job with maybe a bank and settle down. And he wanted to do something on his own. And he was so passionate about it, and he was so clear about what he wanted to do. His whole business plan was laid out. And he requested us, me personally, to talk to his parents and to convince them that what he was trying to do was not wrong, and that it's a risk that he should take. Now, it was tough for me to talk to the parents because they were farmers. and to tell them that this is what your child is passionate about, knowing full well that any business is a risk, knowing that his job meant security for the family. It was tough for me to do that, but I'm really happy that we supported the child and everything. He did wonderfully well, and today the parents are delighted that he's really set up a wonderful business of his own. And I think stories like this make you feel that, you know, the youth really need a helping hand at some point of time, inspiration, because they have the passion to do these things. And it's only someone who's passionate who can make
Who
a
can
go.
achieve, yes,
Absolutely.
of course.
And actually, I would like to add something to this because many of the youth, when they even join the university, they just join the college that their parents choose, maybe because of the ego, prestige, image of the engineer. I want to be an engineer because if I'm engineer, so this means that I'm the best of the best of the best. And he might not be talented as an engineer or as a doctor or as whatever. So in this age group, high school or early university age, when we give them this kind of advice, different career path, entrepreneurship is one of them, and personality exploration, talent exploration. We do an aptitude test, psychological tests, so they can explore and discover their personal competencies. This definitely changes the direction of their lives. Because we see hundreds of graduates. After they graduate, they start something else. So you just spend 5 years of your life studying engineering, and then you started a different...
It's not something that they actually wanted to do from the start.
Absolutely.
So why not to start a bit earlier?
They need some teenagers need guidance. Sometimes parents would tell them, this is what you need, but that's not what they need.
Yes.
So, and they get it in the education system. That's perfect. Well, thank you for being with us. It was a great pleasure having you both with me on the show. Thank you.
Thanks
so
to you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, our guests today were Dr. Wael Al-Dsuki. He's the Director of Entrepreneurship Center, Arab Academy for Science, Technology and Maritime Transport from Alexandria, Egypt. And Dr. Rajni Gupti, she is the Vice Chancellor of Symbiosis International University from India. Thank you for watching Open Talk. Have a good evening.